I watched a movie recently. Yeah, everyone's talking about how nice it is, how interesting it is, but I don't think so. I think differently about the movie, and here's why. Hello my beautiful Orange family, welcome back to my YouTube channel. If you're a returning subscriber, thank you so much for always finding my video worthy of your time, and if you're just coming across my video for the first time, welcome. This is Orange Presh, the only orange human being you know, the only orange girl you've ever met, and this is the Orange Experience by Orange Presh. So this movie is called The Wait, and it is on Netflix, and it is a Nigerian movie starring Nse Igbe Etim, starring Deyemi Okolawon, I hope that's his name, starring Auntie Kate Henshaw. There was great actors in the movie, and the movie is really interesting. It is a normal feel-good movie. It is a Christian movie, by the way. I think it is based on a Christian book. I don't think I know who wrote the book, but then watching the movie I saw that it is based on a Christian book called The Waiting Room. It's just this kind of movies that makes you feel good, it's like a motivational movie, but that's not what I want everyone to take away from the movie. For me, the movie has a lot of lessons, and as you can see while watching the movie, for the sake of this video, I wrote down a couple of lessons that I learned from the movie, and those are some of the things I want to share with you today. If you haven't seen the movie The Wait, I'm sorry that this might be a spoiler, but I hope that my review makes you want to watch the movie even more. So I'm just going to go straight into it. I don't want this video to be too long. I'm going to try as much as possible to be detailed and to be precise and short as well. The first point I wrote was that it's a great movie, beautiful actors, and it has an awesome lesson. So like I said, the actors are good. The actors really tried in the movie. I forgot to mention Ini Abasi now. So Ini was also in the movie, one of the major characters in the movie, and she was really good. I just want to say that all the actors did so well in bringing out the emotions in the movie. They really did so well in acting out their roles. At a point in the movie, although this is no news, but it was really touching so much that I cried. It opens with a hospital scene where a woman is in labor, very serious labor, very tough labor, with her family members and her friends outside waiting for her to give birth. Just a typical labor room and awaiting delivery situation. And then she eventually gives birth, and everybody's happy and they're like, it's a girl, congratulations, and all of that. And then after some minutes, the baby dies, which is very sad. And then that's how the movie opened up. It now took us into the storyline proper, which shows that it is a movie about people waiting, basically, as the name implies, waiting on God for something. In this case, the story about women waiting to have children. The beginning scene already kind of like made us emotional and really into the movie when you started. So now the next point I'd like to talk about is the waiting room. So there's like a support group therapy, and like I said, I'm not just giving you reviews, I'm telling you lessons in this movie, life lessons as well. So the waiting room is like a support group meeting of women who have probably lost babies, have been trying to have babies for a very long time. They've had a couple of miscarriages, they've tried. So the doctor just like opens this support group where you all come talk. Support group is just like a meeting of people who are going through the same situation. You sit down, you share your own, the other person shares, and we all share, and we just support ourselves like that. So the group of women were also in that scene where that woman who lost her baby in the beginning scene was. So obviously it shows that woman was also a part of the waiting room. That is the support group. So I'd like to say that touching on support group therapy as a form of support for people who are depressed is very key, very paramount, is very important. As someone who has experienced support group therapy, I resonated with that a lot. I could understand how helpful it's not like it solves your problem completely. It just helps. This thing that happens when, I don't know if everybody felt like it, but when you're younger and you get into trouble and you're the only one who is in trouble, it's different from when it's you and your siblings that are in trouble. It's just easier to handle when you're not the only person. It's like you're in a class too, and it's just you that they're calling out to punish. It's different from when it's the whole class that is in trouble and you're punishing everybody. So I think that's the psychological effect of a support group. So it's easier to know that, it's not just you that is going through this thing, other people are going through the same thing, and then all of you come together. I support you, that way I feel better, because instead of being in the midst of people who say they understand and they don't understand, I'm actually in the midst of people who understand. That is beautiful. They touch on depression. They portray depression in a very different light. A lot of people don't know about depression. Some people are depressed and they don't even know that they're depressed. So this movie touched on depression as a result of child loss, or waiting for something to happen, waiting for a job, waiting for a relationship, waiting for a child, and you know the time that you've used to wait, you're probably believing in God all that time and it's not happening, and you just lose all faith, lose all hope, and you just become depressed. So one point or one sign and symptom of depression that they showed on in that movie, which was really spot on for me, is impulsive buying. People don't even know, even people who buy on impulse don't know that impulsive buying can be a sign of depression. I'm not saying that everybody who buys impulsively is depressed. I'm just saying that in a case where you see somebody who's really sad and when they're happy is when they splurge so much money on a particular thing, it's a very huge sign of depression, and that person needs help. So the movie also went on to talk about pressure. Now, pressure is a very prevalent thing, especially when it comes to, you know, what your mates are doing that you're probably not doing. Especially in this our Africa, there's a lot of comparisons with, especially now, people are 19 and buying houses, people are 21 and getting married, people are 24 and they are done having children. And then there are some people who feels like life is slow for them, feels like all of their mates have moved forward and they're just stuck and stagnant in one particular place. You can also be putting yourself under pressure. We can see it in this movie where the doctor herself is not old but kind of advanced, kind of mature, but she's not married. And pressure from friends, pressure from family, her mom, pressure, typical Nigerian mother. When are you going to get married? Your younger sister is married. My friend's children are getting married. Pressure has now made her get married to somebody. It turned out that the person was a fraud. The person had a different family somewhere, and obviously she had to divorce. And now her mother is mad at her for divorcing because she found out that her husband has another family. Instead of seeing that the pressure she's mounting on her child is enough reason for your child to actually, you know, marry in the wrong. And that point says a lot. It says a lot of things. Apart from even marriage, it goes a lot to show how, you know, being under pressure can make you make terrible decisions that on a normal day, if they leave you to take your time to do something, that's not something you're going to do. But because there's a pressure to do better, you're not going to do ritual money, you're not going to do yahoo or any of those things, because you put yourself under a lot of pressure. I can't remember their names in the movie because I know their actual names, so please go and watch it so you understand what I'm saying. But you can see a case of a mother-in-law troubling her daughter, saying, let's go and meet this traditional herbalist. He can treat you, he's very good. If you stop work, if you can just leave work and focus on this, you get pregnant. And then there's another woman in the support group meeting who is saying her sister-in-law came into the house, is referring to her as a man. All these things are forms and types of pressure that you can put people under, even just by making statements. A hysterectomy, I think, I'm not very sure, I'm not a medical practitioner, but I think it's a case of removing your womb, but something that, you know, means that you will not be able to have children anymore. So the doctor was trying to explain to the man that your wife needs to do this thing for her own life, in order for her to be safe, in order for her to be okay. And the man is like, you're not even married, you don't even have children, how can you understand? So because you've not even been in a particular situation, sometimes you're trying to have an opinion on some topics and people are like, you can't talk about this topic because you've never been married before. All of these are forms of pressure. Sometimes you don't know when you do it, but you do that. You're putting a lot of people under pressure by making such statements, and these things have effect. So we have to do better. We have to be mindful as human beings of the statements that we make. There's also another storyline of a guy called Somto in the movie who, you know, is good, made a first class in architecture. He's also looking for a job. The typical story of a Nigerian graduated with good grades, looking for a job, trying this, trying that, and nothing is working for you. And then, you know, you just have, I think the movie touches a lot on support, because Somto has a friend who's always encouraging him, who's always helping him. So it's really beautiful. It also talks about Somto waiting. I think the movie tries to touch on waiting on God. Again, back to depression, there's something that the movie touched on that I like people to know. I'm going to make a video after this video talking about what you should and should not say to people when they are depressed, because this movie shows it a lot. Depression makes people battle with their faith in God. Trust me, when you see a person who's depressed, the person is already in a battle with their belief and their faith in God, or with where they are in God, or with the presence of God in their life. So you also need to understand that. They showed us the woman who used to pray, who believed in God. She was always praying, she was, you know, always calling God, going to church. She even drew her husband close to God, but then she didn't have a child. She was asking God for one thing for what, 12 years? That's a child, and she never got it. And then she sort of lost faith in God and wasn't going to church anymore. She didn't even want her husband to be praying around her and all of that, as a result of depression. So when people, I'm saying this point because sometimes when you say you're depressed, people make statements like, oh, if you have Jesus, you can never be depressed. You can have Jesus and be depressed, just like you can have Jesus and have malaria, just like you can have Jesus and have typhoid. You can have Jesus and be depressed. Thank you very much. I am of the belief that Christians are tried the most in this world. So when you say things like, if you have Jesus, you cannot be depressed, that's a fabulous statement. And so the next point is, if you're in Nigeria, you know what just happened. Yeah. The next point I wrote down is standing up for your wife or partner, especially when they're going through something. So there's a scene where, the mother-in-law comes and is talking to the wife, disrespecting the wife. You're a man, you can't give my son a child. Basically making the wife feel bad. Somebody who is already in a terrible situation. That's the thing. People think that they are going through your situation more than you. They were coming to tell somebody who has been waiting on God to give her a child for a very long time that she's this, she's that, she's this, she's that. Who told you that you're feeling the childlessness more than the person? So this woman comes and, add salt to injuries now, and then her husband stood up for her. That was just beautiful to see in the movie. He didn't disrespect his mom. He just was able to tell his mom that they're going through something, they're waiting on God. You cannot come to my house owned by me and my wife. I think I'm going to put this scene so you guys will see for context. The light is blinking. Nigeria will heal thee. My next point, which I find very important, going through the problem together is easier than bottling things up and then in turn affecting the other person. Assuming that you and your partner, as in this movie, you're going through childlessness. It's not just childlessness that couples go through, but in the case of this movie, it is childlessness. And you can see a woman who is depressed as a result of childlessness, and she's not sharing, she's not opening up how she feels. That's the same woman who is making the impulsive buys. And husband wants his wife back. Husband wants them to live their life even though they're going through what they're going through. But she feels like God has decided that she's very... And then what's worse, I think I was meaning to say this, is when a woman is going through childlessness, I think women actually forget that the man is also childless. You're not the only one that is childless. The man too is childless. In this movie, the man is trying to be there for you. He's even the one attending the group therapy, because he brought it up to his wife and she said no, she's not attending. So he's attending, he's doing all these things so that you people can be okay. We can live even if we don't have a child. But you're sad, you're depressed. He's trying to talk to you. No, you don't even want to, do the normal husband and wife. You don't want to do it again. You're just affecting the man. He is already affected. I need you to know that. Because he's stronger than you. Because he can handle his emotions better than you. Does not mean that the thing is not affecting him. That's one thing that this movie touched on. And there's a point where the guy had enough of it, and he actually told her that I'm feeling this thing as much as you're feeling it. You're making it look like I'm just there living my life, enjoying my life. I'm not down because it's like, can you relate? I'm like, I can relate. I'm just saying that you should also realize that it's easier for the two of you to get through whatever you're going through together as a team. The thing about depression, the most effective way of healing through depression is support. That is of my own personal experience. I'm not just saying, I am saying because I've been there, I've seen it, I've experienced it. And there's no tool to heal depression bigger than support. So if you have somebody who you can go through it together. In the same movie, there's a woman who said her husband has deserted her. She's the one seeing the doctors on her own. She's the one doing heavy liftings on her own, doing ever since her husband found out that she's the cause. She's the one with the medical problem, the reason why they cannot have children. The man has left her to face the burden on her own. But in your case, you have a husband who's willing to, you go to support group meetings with you, do this with you, and then you're feeling like, oh, what's his business? He cannot relate. He's not the woman in this situation. I think that's wrong. I think you should also give your partner room to express how they're feeling, regardless of their gender or regardless of who is directly affected. So there's another point that was raised by the doctor in the movie, and she said, put your problems in the boot, which means that instead of, okay, I'm childless now, or I don't have a job, wearing the joblessness on your head, wearing the childlessness on your head, putting it in the front of your head, carrying it everywhere you go. I cannot do this because I don't have a child. I cannot be here because I don't have a child. I cannot celebrate because I don't have a job. I cannot be happy because I cannot go out with my friends. I don't have a job. I cannot, wearing your problems in your head. We've not even seen you. I've seen your problems. Instead of that, put them in the boot and leave. Especially since you cannot die. You cannot come and die. There's nothing you can do. You're not the one responsible for giving children. You're not the one responsible for what's happening to you. PCOS is my problem. I'm trying to treat PCOS. Endometriosis is another one. It's a medical condition too that probably can be so terrible and you will not be able to have children. So instead of carrying endometriosis is my problem on my head, put it in the boot and live your life. I know it's easier said than done, to be honest, but you will be happy you did. You will be happy you chose to live as a normal human being. You'll be happy you chose to live without your problem than choosing to sleep and wake up and move around with all your problems. The next lesson that this movie taught is mindfulness. Mindfulness is something that I learned in therapy. I don't think this video is not about telling you how to deal with depression, but I just brought about mindfulness because you can see them doing some mindful exercises. You won't even know all these things. An example of a mindful exercise is breathing in and breathing out. When you're troubled, when something is bothering you, when something is sitting on your mind, you can just relax and do breathing exercises. It's just a simple mindful exercise that can, help ease the tension in the moment. And then the other point that, hit the nail for me is finding other ways than the conventional way. That is. And I think this is an African problem, because if there's one way to do something, it's very hard for us to come out of the way that we think we know how, or we feel we know how. It's very hard for us to come out of that way and do it in a different way. Like in the movie, one of the women who was waiting for a child, in this case, had a problem with adopting. She didn't want to adopt. She kept on insisting she wants to have her own child. She wants to have her own child. And that's beautiful. There's nothing wrong with saying you want to have your own child. You don't want to adopt and all of that. But I never thought about it. I always say this. I don't have children. I'm not married. I don't know what it means to actually wait for children. I can't, not yet. I don't know it. I don't know if I'm in the right place to tell you this. But personally, because I can have opinions, yeah, I know for a fact that adoption is another way of opening blessings in your life. God can be speaking to you in very different ways, but because you are used to only one way, you're not seeing it. Pay attention. Everything around you is definitely talking to you. It is in this movie. Watch it, you see what I'm talking about. And men can be involved. I told you that the man who was waiting also joined the support group meeting of only women. He was there attending for his wife, showing up for his wife, praying. He was praying every night, praying to God, crying. Most times you see that it's the women who are crying, it's the women who are going to places, it's the women. But in this case, the man was showing up, going to the hospital. In fact, his wife was not even doing anything. She was drowning in sadness. This point is men can be involved. If you're here, you're watching this video and a man, please be involved. This movie made me remember one book. Literature students in the house would know, A Woman in Her Prime, that we read in, I think, junior secondary school. We also spoke about a woman who was trying to have a child, and she was marrying different husbands because of the childlessness, and she was already in her prime. She did this, took this medication, took that medication. Eventually she got her miracle when she decided that she wasn't going to do any of those things anymore. She wasn't going to see any spiritualists anymore. She was just going to wait on God's time. And when she waited, remember, the major point of this movie is waiting on God's time, godly waiting. Another point I just said that is waiting means letting God take control. That's exactly what I just said. So if you're waiting on God, say your waiting period. I feel like at some point in everybody's life, they're going to have a waiting period. I have had waiting periods, more than one waiting period in my life. I'm currently in a waiting period. Waiting on God means that you're going to let God take total control. I just used the Pokuwa situation to explain to you that she stopped, her herbal medications, saying one spiritualist or the other. She was just waiting on God. She left it all for God. Like, God, take your time. Anytime you want to do this thing, do it. I'm not even going to suffer myself again. I'm not going to struggle again. So yeah, that is godly waiting. In the case of the doctor, she eventually found someone, who seemed like a really nice guy that she could be in a relationship with and all of that. But she wasn't rushing anything. She wasn't, for somebody who has been out of a relationship and been under pressure to get married for a very long time, she was just taking everything slowly. She even told him, I'm not doing anything. I'm just waiting for God's time. The end of this movie is so beautiful. Like I said in the beginning, it's a feel-good movie. So it's a movie that if you watch, you're going to feel good. It's going to reignite your faith in God, in Christ. It's going to help you if you're currently in a waiting period of your life. So overall, I'm rating it a 9/10. I'm not rating it a 10 because I don't know, I'm an art student and we don't used to give 10/10, but it's a 9/10. If you have watched it, let me know in the comment section down below what you think. If you go and watch it, please come back and let us discuss. Let's talk about how the movie made you feel. If you're going to watch it because of my review, let me know in the comment section down below. Like this video, subscribe to my channel, share this video so that other people can see the review and watch it too. Thank you so much for coming. I love you. Mwah!